This is a story by the Telegraph. I'll put the link in the description. This guy, Ben Wright, I just want to call out how he absolutely, knowingly, deliberately, willfully, calculatedly is lying to the public about this case. He had the audacity to say that a heavily Republican House of Representatives is trying to save this guy's life. And I want to say, Democrats, I wouldn't put up with that. I'm not a Democrat. But I'm going to tell you what right now, this is not a Republican thing. This is a bipartisan. And it's not the House of Representatives doing this. This isn't like, okay, you've got the House of Representatives, and then you have the Senate, and those are the two departments that make up the legislative branch for any state in America, right? This isn't the House of Representatives that's even doing this. The House of Representatives, this is not what this is about. You have 84 lawmakers. I'm going to show you them. These are just a few of 84 lawmakers of all ethnicities, and they're bipartisan. It's not the House. They're people that are legislators who have bound together, who are both Democrat and Republican. So for this Mr. Wright to squash the voice of Democrats, to say that it's only the Republicans, like it's the House of Representatives. No. These are legislators in the state of Texas, and there's 84 of them who have said, you know what, we are so sick and tired of the governor, the attorney general, and the courts quashing our power. The people are the victims when the legislators, that whatever party you're in, you vote them into office and they write a law that serves the people, us. It protects us. It enforces the law. It protects people in general. That's what the laws are for. And when they misuse those laws, they don't enforce them, or they enforce them the wrong way, or they twist the purpose of the laws, or they just basically do what they want to do, we suffer, right? That's what the purpose of lawmakers are. And so these courts are just like doing whatever they want to do. And that's what these lawmakers, 84 of them, of all ethnicities, and they're just like, listen, you didn't do right. We wrote the law, and this is what we intended with our law. And the courts are not complying with our power. It's a power struggle. And so you have the attorney generals and the governors acting like, forget them legislative people, we the king. And then speaking of this, I want you to know, I'm a Republican, but Ken Paxton, he's a Republican in the state of Texas. He's attorney general. He's got to go. He's corrupt. He is a Republican attorney general who in 2015 was facing security fraud charges under an FBI investigation for abuse of office, and apparently he got by. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he's still under investigation. I don't know, but he's got to go. He is so corrupt. What he did in this case, he under Federal Rule Civil Procedure Rule 11, he lied in a pleading and tried to rewrite this case and claim that this man, when he was arrested and he was charged, and then he went to trial, that he was prosecuted for beating his child to death. That was never the argument. That was never what was presented. They didn't have any evidence for beating the child. They had only argument with shaken baby syndrome, which is now debunked. And not only that, this baby died of a lung virus. And she went septic. They did literally lung tissue tests on this child. And this is why the problem with shaken baby syndrome is because you're only supposed to even use that after everything else is considered. The juror who sat in his trial just recently testified that that same hospital is just filled with medical malpractice, and gave examples that she knew of personally. And what they did to this baby, they treated the baby, as if it was injured. But see, they didn't even come up with it was injured until this was the third time he brought it to the hospital. And they sent him home with medicine and gave 2 double prescriptions to 2 different caregivers. and then gave medicine that exacerbated the baby's condition. They misdiagnosed that baby. And then, when it came in and it had brain swelling, because that's what happens, that can be caused by this particular virus, they said, oh, well, this looks like this baby's abused, and just set up trying to create this story. And they later tested that baby died of that virus. And they took this man's right and took that baby off life support. Didn't give him even say so on whether or not that baby is going to stay on life support. So these lawmakers, they went and proved that it was junk science. So guess what this corrupt attorney general does? He rewrites the narrative recently in pleadings about this case, claiming that this trial was not even about shaken baby syndrome, so the courts shouldn't even consider whether or not shaken baby syndrome statute was misconstrued by the courts, because it wasn't even a shaken baby syndrome case. It was, he beat her to death. And then went to the media and presented that to try to kill the support that people are getting for this man. He's dirty. He's got to go. If he will do this to a white man, what will he do to minorities and the poor? Which this guy is. And plus, he's autistic. The guy that's the victim. This guy is dirty. He's got to go. It is bipartisan. Not the Republican House of Representatives. Bipartisan group of Texas. Bipartisan, bipartisan, bipartisan. I know it's blurry, but I apologize. It's bipartisan, guys. Bipartisan. And he's got the audacity to say Republicans are calling for Roberson to be saved. No, Democrats. Don't let them quash the Democratic voice of legislators like they don't matter. The legislators, they join together and they vote on laws. And it's never a Republican. Maybe there's more Republicans voting on something than the other, but this is not even the House of Representatives. This is not the Senate either. These are lawmakers joined together outside. This is not like they're passing laws. This is like a group of lawmakers have seen a pattern of abuses by the court and even the governor and the attorney general's office, who are just ignoring their power. You know, when the governor and the attorney general and these judges, they sign in to take office, they swear an oath that they're going to uphold the law. And guess who? The law that they write. The legislators, their power is being squashed. It's not about Republicans. So I'm just begging you to call this Ben Wright guy out. That's what they need to do. Just call Ben Wright out. Say, Ben Wright, dude, don't be squashing the voices of the Democrats like they ain't in this argument. Like they don't matter. The Democrats don't play the political party card. Don't play the race card. Because guess what? This is all races. Latinos, Indian, African American. There's all ethnicities in these 84 lawmakers. It's Democrats and Republicans together that are saying, and it's not so much about this guy right here. That's what people don't understand. This is really, these lawmakers are saying, listen, when we write the law and you misuse the intent that we create, we have a problem. And so they're also, it's not even just that. When they asked for this hearing for this man, they used a subpoena. That's what caused his death sentence to be restrained by a judge. Issued a restraining order for the legislative lawmakers because they wanted to have a hearing and have this guy testify. Because this Republican attorney general, again, I'm Republican, but I call right, wrong, and I don't care what party you are, right? And so the Republican attorney general falsely not testified, but he wrote in pleadings arguing to the courts a false narrative. Just made up lies. And they're going to prove in a hearing where this guy's testifying for various reasons, and while they had the hearing, the attorney general blocked this guy from being able to testify. And he had a personal reason to try to blockade and tell the Department of Corrections they may not take this guy, even though the Texas Supreme Court upheld their right to call him and subpoena him. They don't need to hurry up and execute him. They have a right to have this guy's testimony. So they wanted it in person, so they just subpoenaed him to be there. The Department of Corrections was to bring him there. Well, the Attorney General said, no, we're not going to allow it. The Attorney General has his own agenda because he's caught with his pants down because he lied in pleadings. So they had the hearing without him, said, you know what, we're going to get his testimony. We're going to get his testimony. If we have to go to the prison, we're going to get his testimony. But meanwhile, they went ahead and had the hearing. This Attorney General thought he was going to stop this hearing from happening by blockading him being there. Well, they have it anyways, and they're going to still get this man's testimony. So this juror testified. This Attorney General's lying. The Attorney General said that the trial was about him beating him to death. And she said, absolutely not. She said, nobody, and you can listen to the juror's own words. She was there. She was the juror who basically sent this guy to death. She said, what she knows now, she said, there's no way that she would even convicted him. She said she was angry because she testified that in the trial, at no time did they ever accuse this man of beating this child. She said, in fact, they used like some kind of doll and shook the doll to demonstrate how the baby's injuries happened. That's what they believed happened to the baby. She said they never said a word about him striking that child. And they wanted the whole world to see how this Attorney General lied. And guess who else testified? The former Texas Criminal Appeal Court judge said that they are changing the narrative. Calls out the attorney. Without saying the Attorney General was lying, she said, yeah, they're changing the narrative now. She says nothing was presented to us about anybody being beaten to death. She says, I'm very concerned about them changing the narrative. Listen to her testimony. This Attorney General is corrupt. He's got to go. So this Ben Wright trying to turn this into a Republican thing, I want you to mark the Telegraph as just crooked news. It's just fake news. That's all it is. It's just biased, slanted, fake news. And I am presenting trustworthy news truth. TNT. Poof!